listen-only mode.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Demystifying the Cloud webinar. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to log in, but we'll be getting started very shortly. Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to Demystifying the Cloud webinar presented by Saad Syed. My name is Kim Pike and I'd like to thank you for joining us today. We'll be kicking off the webinar in just a few minutes, but before that I'm going to cover a few housekeeping items and let you know how you can participate in today's session. Although you'll be on mute during the presentation, you do have the ability to ask questions throughout the webinar using your chat and question panel located near the bottom of your control panel. You can type in your question and click send and we'll get it on our end. At the end of the presentation, we'll address your questions during our Q&A session. We'll take as many questions as we have time for. If we're unable to get to your question, we'll be sure to have someone follow up with you after the webinar. Both the slides and the recording of today's presentation will be made available for you to download from our website later this week. In the meantime, if you do have any questions or concerns during the webinar, I'm here and available to help, so feel free to send me a message using the question box. Once again, thank you for joining our webinar, and with that, I'll turn it over to you, Saad.
Thank you, Kim. Good morning, everyone. My name is Saad Syed. Their BI environments or their BI growth, as well as implement BI solutions. But I also help them understand the landscape of the BI tools offered in the market, especially within the Oracle stack. I know that many of you have recently attended Oracle's Collaborate conference, and you may have seen a host of really cool solutions presented by partners as well as customers. And there may have been questions there about, well, these solutions are great, in the cases that they were, in the context that they were presented in. However, how does this fit into my organization's needs or our specific roadmap? And what we're hoping to do with this presentation is try to clarify some of that confusion that with what tools are available and what makes sense to be used when. So with that, I'm going to get started with the slide deck. Now, briefly, I want to just cover the tools that we will be talking about, and also just a quick mention of what we won't be talking about. Today we'll be covering the BI stack as it relates within the OTBI, OTBI-E, BICS, BIFS, or what was formerly OBIA, and the OBIA tool. Now you will see a poll that's come up. This is just so we understand our audience better, and I'd really appreciate if you could participate as to what tools you have been using or are considering using in your organization. But going back to my slide, the main focus of all of these tools, or the commonality they have, is that they're all built on the OBI backbone. They are very similar in their front end, and we can certainly get into that in our Q&A session in greater detail. But they all have this common feature, especially when it comes to ad hoc report generation, of being very similar to what some of you or all of you may have seen with OBIE. What we won't be talking about today is the EPM reporting tool set, and we excluded that because that is in its own right, it's worthy of a completely separate presentation. Also, we are excluding a sixth tool set, if you will, and that is Visual Analyzer and its cloud equivalent of data visualization cloud services. We will be scheduling a upcoming webinar focusing on Visual Analyzer that will go in depth into Visual Analyzer, and we will give you a demo as well as how the tool is being positioned and what use cases we're seeing for it. And I invite you all to register for that. That invitation will be sent out shortly from Emtec. So going into the first of the tools that we'll be talking about today is OTBI. Now what OTBI really is for those of you who have seen the kind of reporting that was done out of your older Oracle on-premise ERP and HCM solutions such as EBS or PeopleSoft, OTBI really serves to do that kind of reporting, transactional reporting focused on whether it's data quality or large population data measures. So for example, understanding your entire organization's, in the case of HCM, understanding benefits enrollment across your entire workforce, or in the case of ERP systems, understanding vendor specific or invoice specific data across all of your vendors or customers in your ERP system. Very transactional data reporting is done with OTBI. We see it often used to verify, how data is loaded into Fusion, and what the things that you would have done with Envision or Discover. That's really what you're able to do with OTBI. The limitations, however, with OTBI are that even though this uses that OBIA backbone, and it's a very familiar front end, there are limitations to what you can do in terms of customization. For example, all of the reports and reporting columns in OTBI are pre-designed and delivered by Oracle, so you cannot customize. Now, you are allowed to pull in flex fields, and those are delivered as flex fields in OTBI, so any of your source system of record flex fields would be reflected in the reporting solution, but you cannot go ahead and create customized columns with custom formulas and such as easily as you would in OBIE. The next tool is OTBI-E, and now what OTBI-E is, again, focusing on the data from your system of record, whether it's ERP or HCM, your Fusion system of record, really. It allows you to do some more analytical reporting. Where OTBI was more focused on transactional reporting, OTBI-E focuses on analytical reporting. There are a number of views developed on top of the data model that do aggregations and some summary level reporting. However, again, similar restrictions in that custom reporting really is limited to the delivered fields. You can't start building your own fields with OTBI-E either, just like with OTBI. And you also have the limitation that you are loading data only from your Fusion app. So you are not able to load data from any other third-party source. Moving on, I do have another poll that you'll be seeing here, and this is about really understanding, again, better understanding what we're seeing amongst organizations, talking about, is your organization considering moving data from on-premise to the cloud? And just helps us understand a little better the landscape in the industries. So the next slide that I have up, and I'll give everyone a moment to answer, and then we'll move on to the next slide. But the next slide we're going to be focusing on is BIFS. Now, BIFS is the Business Intelligence Foundation suites. BIFS is another name for BIFS, some of you may remember, is OBIE. This is the more customized on-premise solution that Oracle has been had in market actually for a number of years now. BIFS is really their flagship enterprise reporting platform, if you will. You have the ability to develop custom data models from scratch that are very specific to your needs. You have the ability to pull in Oracle and non-Oracle data sources. You can even do, flat files if your organization has a bunch of legacy data in flat file format. You could load that up as a source into BIFS, and then use that to create both executive and operational dashboards. So you can have multiple tiers of reporting through the solution, and it's very customizable and it's very controllable. Conversely, and now this is the on-premise solution, Oracle, what they've done recently is also move this solution to the cloud. Now, BICS, or Business Intelligence Cloud Services, is the software as a service model for BIFS. However, in moving to the cloud, there are some different some features that are compromised with BICS. In that, there is no connectivity to Essbase. You lose some of the ability to have a direct connection to multiple data sources or non-Oracle data sources. You are actually reliant on what BICS is reliant on is a single Oracle database in the cloud, which is actually purchased separately, and it's part of the database as a service offering that Oracle has. We've noticed that the data model, the online data model for BICS, it has some limitations with what you can do, but largely a lot of the functionality that is available in BIFS, with the exception of the few things I mentioned just now, is available in BICS. And finally, OBIA. So this has been for a number of years now Oracle's packaged application offering, and again, this utilizes the OBIE or BIFS backbone, but it encompasses prepackaged data models, a prepackaged data warehouse, as well as some prepackaged reports, pre-built reports that Oracle had brought in SMEs to build for them, and it's sold as Oracle IP across multiple industries. Now, this is sold both as industry-specific solutions in the case of things like Oracle Utilities Analytics, or module-specific packages, such as there's financial analytics, supply chain analytics, HR analytics, or order management analytics, which can again serve across all of Oracle's system of record, such as EBS, PeopleSoft, as well as third-party ones such as JD Edwards. And that third-party integration is afforded through third-party adapters. The OBIA tool has been very well received for its strategic ability to again, not only provide the visibility at the analyst or operational level, but also provide executive visibility into the system, and then combined with third-party tools to really add a strategic aspect to reporting and analytics. Again, the relative streamlined or prepackaged nature of the tool makes it very easy to adapt and extend this solution beyond just your Oracle system of record or your main what's pre-delivered. You can easily add custom-built data models on top or in addition to what's been pre-delivered. We're going to do a little bit of a comparison now, and one caveat that I want to just throw out there is these comparisons, we're going to be looking at the two pre-delivered analytical solutions, OTBI-E versus OBIA, and then the two custom or more custom-built solutions such with BICS and BIFS. What we are going to deliberately ignore is the OTBI solution, and the reason for that is OTBI is unique in that it is transactional reporting, and so it's kind of more standalone. But when we're comparing OTBI-E and OBIA, you'll notice that, of course, the first difference is the on-premise versus in the cloud deployment models. But then we also call OBIA more strategic analysis versus OTBI being operational reporting. And the reason for that is that whereas the content delivered is very similar in the two tools, OTBI-E is again limited to just the Fusion data. OBIA is the strategic depth afforded in OBIA is really where it allows you to build out the custom data models or connect to other data sources, but with OTBI-E, you lack that functionality. The user base, of course, because the data model is limited in OTBI-E to Fusion applications, the user base is going to be primarily your Fusion operational users. However, with OBIA, again, that ability to extend that data model allows you to have a wider array of executives and SMEs in the application. Data sources, again, with OTBI-E, there is a predefined warehouse that is basically fed by your Fusion application, and the way that happens is a ETL through ODI that basically does a data sync into this BAW or Business Analytics warehouse in the cloud through flat files that are extracted from your Fusion application. With OBIA, there is a similar ETL done. However, this ETL can be pointed and configured directly against your source systems, whether they're third-party systems through the use of those adapters that I mentioned earlier, or whether it's even Fusion applications in the cloud. So OBIA does have connectivity to the cloud, as well as on-premise systems of record, such as PeopleSoft or EBS. The data preparation piece I just talked about kind of in the data sources, that they both use a ETL with OTBI using source-specific flat files to load. The cross-functional, I'm going to jump ahead to the cross-functional analysis now. With OTBI-E, cross-functional analysis is available. However, the caveat there is that OTBI-E will only be able to do cross-functional analysis within the modules of Fusion, whereas OBIA, it's a broader array of sources that you can go against. And finally, the little note at the bottom, just a point to note that in purchasing Fusion, Oracle packages OTBI with the Fusion tool. However, OTBI-E licenses are sold separately and are available currently for HCM, but are being extended to the ERP, Fusion ERP application as well. A couple of similarities between OTBI-E and OBIA, now that we've talked about their differences, is the really focusing around user roles and security profiles. In case of both applications, those are, you have the ability of inheriting those from Fusion or your system of record, whatever you're using in the case of OBIA. And therefore, there is less of a need to maintain or create a completely separate security structure. You can leverage the existing security that you have in your ERP or HCM application within these analytical tools. Role-based security can be leveraged further to control catalogs on the front end and subject areas. So and subject areas being, for those of you who are not familiar, subject areas are simply the amalgamation of dimension and fact columns related to specific areas within your business, and those are pre-created for you, so you can control who has access to those subject areas, as well as who has access to the actual catalog objects or the reports and dashboards available, to add a further layer of security. Also, you can add additional role-based security in both OTBI-E and OBIA as needed. And again, we see that being defined by the organizations. During the course of the implementation, they'll judge their appetite for the need for security, often based on the content and the audience that they're releasing the tool to. Furthermore, the last point here, the additional data filters. So at the data level in OTBI-E and OBIA, you can apply data level filters in order to increase security. However, we've also noticed in our time with both tools, we've noticed marked advantages that OBIA's on-premise solution offers over OTBI-E. The first one here, which I think is pretty powerful, is the need for complex calculations or data enrichment that OBIA is able to do but is not supported in OTBI-E. And we've listed a few examples from the HCM side right now, because as I said, OTBI-E is available for HCM right now. But things like headcount movement, or an as is or versus as was snapshot of data, That's something that we've seen a lot of clients say, ask for is, what does my data look like today, but versus what it looked like a year ago or 6 months ago. Organizational skill gaps, or the cycle time calculations, complex calculations basically is what we're trying to display here, that are provided for in OBIA, but OTBI just does not have the capability to support those. OBIA, again, I've kind of beat this point into the ground by now in my last couple of slides, but OBIA allows for multiple source data integration, which, when we're talking about things like HCM, you can add in talent data or sales data for sales specific to manage your sales force better, especially, in regards to their HCM records against their performance records. We find that really builds a powerful, impactful storyline for multiple levels within our customers. And with OTBI-E, that's just not possible right now. It is with the on-premise solution. So we find, that's another marked advantage that OBIA has over OTBI-E. I'm going to move into my next comparison now, which is BICS, or Business Intelligence Cloud Service, versus BIFS. Now, as I mentioned a few slides ago, these two tools are very similar in a lot of the ways. However, there are some differences. The biggest being the fact that BICS is limited to this database in the cloud as a single source. So you would have to, if you are looking to load multiple pieces of data or data from multiple sources into BICS, it would first need to be modeled in this database in the cloud, which is a single schema database, and then pulled into BICS. Whereas with BIFS, you could directly plug in to any of your data sources that are on premise. The data preparation, again, the data sync with BICS, that's how you load data into the database in the cloud, whereas the connection with BIFS is direct. They're both updated periodically, and they can both afford cross-functional analysis. The caveat on BICS, again, being that cross-functional analysis will only extend to what you have defined in that database, whereas with BIFS you can go have free reign as to what kind of cross-functional analysis you want to do. We have our final, and I promise this is our final poll, but what we're looking to really understand is the importance of custom data modeling for your organization. And this, again, helps us understand, the appetite for building custom data models versus prepackaged, delivering prepackaged solutions, which we find often serve as a starter kit, if nothing else, for organizations. It really helps get organizations who may be a little further behind in their roadmap of BI progression, gets them accustomed to what BI tools, what capabilities are offered with BI tools, and really helps them build a lot of growth in, or a lot of trust in their data. So I appreciate the responses. I see that they're flooding in now. And we'll move on to our next slide deck. The comparison of reporting tools. So this is another graphic that we wanted to share with you, but basically it's our evaluation again of what target users these tools really address. And with OTBI-E and OTBI, you'll see that these, because of the level of views that they offer along with OBIA, these are really great tools for multiple levels in the organization, your executives as well as your analysts. With BICS and BIFS, because these data models can get to be very intensive, we see a lot of usage limited to analysts in those instances. and that similarly translates into the ease of use with OTBI and OTBI-E and OBIA, because you have the simple single source integration with Fusion in the case of OTBI and OTBI-E, as well as the pre-packaged nature of the tool with OBIA. That makes it a very simple tool to use. Because BICS and BIFS really have you build out from scratch your data models, we find that the ease of use, it turns up the dial a little to be a little more moderate, and requires a little better understanding of the back-end data models. All of these tools, however, have a high number of features, whether it's the on-premise or cloud-based solution. So we feel that they're very exciting solutions for organizations to use. OTBI is the only one that offers real-time reporting per se. However, I do want to say that we have delivered and we have seen clients utilize BIFS as a near real-time reporting solution with the adding on of Golden Gate, another micro ETL tool from Oracle, that allows for micro ETLs basically, and we've seen BIFS being used then as a near real-time solution, and the same can be said of actually OBIA. You could set up micro ETLs to have that be a near real-time solution as well, but the true real-time is really the OTBI here. And of course, finally, we've laid out which ones are cloud versus on-premise solutions. Now getting into one of my final slides, talking about use cases with OTBI. We've seen, now this is where organizations who are in the process of or have implemented Fusion platforms and are looking to really replace the reporting that they were doing with Envision and Discover. Transactional level reporting, OTBI seems to be the most impactful tool for them. With OTBI-E, it's for organizations who want that transactional reporting against Fusion but want to extend that data model onto more analytical level reporting or aggregate reporting, but are still okay with limiting that to within their Fusion environment or the data that's loaded to their Fusion environment. Taking a step further away from that, though, organizations who find BIFS very useful are those who are really looking to implement a custom-built enterprise-wide reporting and analytical solution, who really feel the package applications or packaged solutions with packaged dashboard content and data models aren't going to meet their needs. Their organizations are very unique in their KPIs, in their business models, and so they want a BI environment that is reflective of that. These organizations are seeking a high amount of control and a high amount of customization, as I said, and are looking to bring in multiple data sources, but are okay with a large on-premise footprint. With BICS, it's again very similar to that BIFS conversation. However, organizations who are really looking to reduce that footprint from on-premise and really leverage cloud computing, those organizations find a lot of value in BICS. The organizations who like BICS still want a level of customization, but are still okay with building that out in that database in the cloud first, and then using that as a single source in their BICS environment. And finally, OBIA. Now, OBIA, again, organizations who are really looking for what I like to call a BI starter kit, which helps them get quick impact and quick ROI by utilizing pre-delivered content and pre-delivered data models. We've seen organizations implement OBIA during the course of ERP upgrades. And in fact, Emtec has a great white paper that Oracle's also publicized about the benefits of implementing OBIA during the course of an ERP upgrade and how that can be leveraged by organizations to better build both tools, to validate the data that's being upgraded in their ERP environments versus also more quickly roll out OBIA. And again, also organizations who are really looking to help their user base kind of address the learning curve that some of these more sophisticated BI tools or more formal BI tools, some of the functionality that they offer. OBIA has a great way of doing that through those pre-delivered dashboards that kind of let you understand the functionality piecemeal and build upon that. Now, with that brings us to the end of our demo, our presentation. I'll open the floor up to questions. Kim, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, we have a handful of questions. I'm going to give everyone the opportunity to submit questions. The right-hand panel, you can submit questions, and we'll go ahead and start with the first one. Someone wants to know if they want to move on-premise data to the cloud, which of these tools would be most suitable?
Well, we've seen, I think, the ones that would give you the least amount of hiccups is BICS. BICS is really your tool that will not compromise functionality, but will still allow you to move your data quickly from on-premise to the cloud. So BICS is a great tool to look at.
Okay. We have another question. Can I write custom reports with OTBI?
Yes. The caveat there being custom reports with OTBI would be limited to the columns that are delivered in the OTBI front end. And those are columns that are delivered by Oracle. If you wanted to write custom reports against Fusion data that you don't see in OTBI, and off the top of my head, I can give you an example such as legacy payroll balances in the HCM, Fusion HCM module. Those are not available in OTBI as a reportable column. However, you can use BI Publisher to write a report, deliver it through the OTBI or the BI Answers front end, which is the unified front end for OTBI and BI Publisher, and still be able to see that data. So there's a couple of ways to address that solution, but the quick answer is you certainly can write custom reports. You just have to make sure you're using the columns that are provided in OTBI. Next question, Kim.
So our next question, how does data gravity impact your decision?
Can you say that again? Kim, I'm sorry, repeat that question?
Yeah, sorry, one sec. How does data gravity impact your decision?
I think the question means data granularity.
Oh, granularity, yes. Okay.
Okay. And yeah, so with data granularity, for your decision in terms of which tools to use, it's all about how much data you're looking to pull into your BI solution. So, for example, with with OBIA, so with OBIA, the questions you want to ask are you looking at daily volume data, monthly or quarterly data? Are you looking at just pulling into your BI environment aggregate data, or do you really want to have very granular data levels? With BIFS, you're able to have a very, like I said, very customized data model, so you could have a little more leeway with the kind of analytics you're doing. Also, the question is, how much data are you looking to move into the cloud from on-premise? That plays a big role. We see customers spending a lot of time really asking themselves these questions and debating these in order to build the roadmap as they're considering these solution options. So certainly data granularity plays a large role. Yeah. All right, Kim, do you have the next question for me?
Sure. So the next question, can we pull data from cloud into OBIA?
Yeah, yes. As of the latest version of OBIA, the cloud adapters are available. And in fact, actually, we've got Fusion applications listed as a data source in the OBIA slide. So you do have the ability to pull in your cloud data.
Okay, great. One person is interested in seeing the visual analyzer. Is that something we may be doing a demo of?
Yes,
another webinar?
So we will be doing a very in-depth demo and webinar about Visual Analyzer, and a new offering that Oracle's just released, DVCS, Data Visualization Cloud Service, which is a standalone version of Visual Analyzer in the cloud. It can be bought at a lower price point than what BICS is currently offered at, but it has the full functionality, and you're able to quickly load your Excel data sheets or any personal access databases that you have, and quickly use those to build visualizations on. So we'll be doing a webinar. Please look for an invite coming out shortly in the next couple of weeks, I want to say, about that webinar.
So our last question, someone wants to know if Oracle has any plans to simplify these tools.
Yes, so with 12c, we're seeing some simplification of these tools. However, I think what I hope that we've been able to show you through the course of this webinar is that some of these tools, the reason they have been kept disparate is because they're really addressing different niche markets or different needs, I should say, and so there is some limit to how much unification or consolidation and simplification will be offered by Oracle, and the biggest delineator between those two is cloud versus on-premise, right? And then there are further decision forks in the decision tree, really, about how customized versus prepackaged you want to go. But the biggest simplification being Oracle's kind of drawn the line in the sand, saying, hey, these are our cloud solutions, these are our on-premise, and we're going to separate them this way.
Okay. What is the best option if you have data both on-premise, PeopleSoft, and cloud, HCM cloud?
OBIA, so OBIA, again, OBIA is great because it offers hooks directly into the cloud, and if you can, if there is an appetite to have an on-premise solution, OBIA makes a lot of sense because you can not only leverage, again, those prepackaged data models and prepackaged reports to get a quick an environment quickly up and running, but you can also extend those data models to anything custom that you want to do that wasn't prepackaged. There's no licensing issues there. There's no areas that are off limits in terms of the back-end solution. You can build that out as much as you want. Yeah, and the cloud solutions are great here, but we are seeing, again, functional limitations in these tools right now. I can't say what that roadmap looks like about making these tools a little more up to par with on-premise, but currently we believe that the OBIA on-premise solution would be great for a combination of data sources from cloud and on-premise.
Okay. Any more questions right now? I think we're at the end of the queue. Great. Thank you, Saad, for hosting today, and this concludes our webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and as a reminder, we'll be making both the slides and the recording from the webinar available for you to access on our website. Thank you again for attending. Have a great day.